Hello guys, so I just wanted to make a little video to maybe help you understand the idea of the thumbnails a little bit better. So the main reason that we do thumbnails is to work out some ideas ahead of time on a small scale instead of putting so much effort and detail and everything into something only to decide later that, you know, there's something about it you don't like the composition, stuff like that when you've already put so much time into it. So, so when you do a thumbnail drawing, they're usually really tiny, like an inch by an inch. In this case, this is of course a rectangle, so I'm going to make it more like an inch by 2 inches. So I'm going to just draw a little square, not a square, a little rectangle here. And all I'm really trying to do is capture kind of the general, kind of the gestures, the shapes, and the angles that I see in the drawing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I see that the sky and the land are split right around here. So that's a pretty important line in my composition. So I want to actually draw that in right away. And I can see that it starts pretty close to the top and ends about in the middle on this side. So I'm going to draw a line that kind of comes across like this. And then there are several other ones that kind of come across, but I can add those in a little later. And then there's this really big shape that kind of comes up. It goes off the page and it comes down around here. And that helps me kind of set up where I'm going to put the person. So he actually is also, he or she is actually standing on that, a line, which is probably somewhere down. Let's see, it ends over here. So it probably comes across something like that. Okay, so you can see I'm trying to choose the lines that best help me lay out the picture. So, and again, I'm just going to do it pretty quick. And I can see that his shoulders are kind of tilted. He's holding this little hoe thing here. I'm not trying to draw really realistically, and it's not going to be really realistic because I'm just trying to kind of lay out how I want the general shape to be. And then you really can't even see his face because he's looking down. But he is holding. And you really don't want to stop and erase anything. You want to just kind of draw over it again. Okay? There's a little more going on over here. I probably could have made it a little wider, but it actually doesn't affect the composition too much anyway. And then other than that, I just really have these kind of other lines cutting through the picture. So I maybe would start up here at the top. And some of them are wider, some of them are narrower. But that's kind of the general shape of the picture, right? Where some are, some shapes are bigger than others. And then the other thing I really want to try to capture is the value of it, right? So the things that are lighter and darker. So my person here, that's a pretty dark shade. And then this is kind of a medium shade here. Might make those even a little darker. And then I'm just trying to decide where are some other places where it's kind of darker. Okay, so that would work probably for that one. It's just kind of the general shape. It's just laying out the composition. There's a couple of other ones. This one here is just the landscape. So I'm going to try to draw another rectangle, roughly that size, but smaller. And again, I want to try to pick up the general lines. I like to kind of look for the horizon line first. And I can tell that it came in probably around here. It came out around here. So I have this sort of line that comes across and it goes back up and out. And then that's a really important point right there, right? It comes across and makes the river. So that's probably somewhere around here. And it comes out, and I'm definitely not worried about details too much here. And then I've got this line of trees. And I'm not really worried about that being exactly this kind of line. That kind of gets the general shape. And then my mountains again. Okay, and then I want to go back and again add my value in. I can also, it's sometimes it helps to turn the paper when you're working. The mountains are pretty dark in the background. They get a little lighter through here, just a little. This actually is pretty dark all the way across there. There's another kind of dark area through here. And then it's pretty dark up in the sky, up here in this corner too, right? And coming down. So again, you're just trying to lay out where the main objects are in the picture. So I would probably erase those lines on the outside, okay? So we have these two, and then here's one last one of some little pandas. So again, I'm gonna draw my box, and I'm just trying to draw it in proportion to the shape of my picture here. Okay, so I would probably start with the closest object here in this case, because most of the other things are sort of behind it. He's sort of overlapping a lot of what is in the picture, and his head starts about that far down, so maybe about this far down here. And his head is pretty big in the picture. Head, neck. Actually, I probably made the head a little too big. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? His little ears are pretty dark. And then the other panda, his head is a little higher. Come back and give him his nose. I don't know if you can see this line right here. It's like a branch that kind of cuts across. And that's kind of a darker area in there too. Again, I'm gonna come back and really make these darker here. So those are definitely dark in the picture. Value really makes a big difference in the thumbnails too. And then here's the root of my tree kind of coming across. And then there's some other random things in there I'm not going to worry about. We don't want to worry about details. I will put some of this grass in front because that's kind of a textural element, and that does show up a lot, especially because it's right in the foreground. So if you have something in the foreground, you really want it to show something. This bear is in the foreground too. This guy's a little more in the midground. And then of course the tree's in the background. And I see it, I can tell. I probably want, I've gone back and forth about how big I want his head to be. But that's the beauty of a thumbnail, is that you can change it when it's little and notice the things that might be, you know, a challenge to you later on. So again, that's really all you guys got to do. Okay, these are just little tiny drawings like that. Now, if you're doing one from imagination, which is what we'll be doing when we're deciding on our scenes, some things that you can do are Google different ideas that you have, and just see what you can come up with. Okay, these are not set in stone. We can always change them, but the main thing is just to get started. Okay, I hope that helps.